my channel. Let's learn together. So today we will be solving session 3, 4 and 5 of chapter 2 of science exercise book of class 9. So there are a total of 4 activities in this chapter. 3 are table solving and 1 is question answering. So we will go through each of them. I have highlighted the main parts of the questions for you so that we can discuss it and then we can go for the answers. All right. So let's see that what the first activity is. Let's identify the problems caused by air pollution. What difficulties arise for humans in areas where the air is polluted? Also, consider other living beings, such as various animals and plants present there, and find out problems they face. Alongside this, think about the impact of polluted air on nature. That means uh, we have learned about air pollution, right? So what sort of impact does air pollution have on human health, have on plants and animals, or in the natural environment? We have to write those things in this table. Now the next activity is, let's see let's see how air pollutants spread from one place to another. Think about it. Even if we walk a little away from an open dustbin, how does its odor reach our nose? So look, this thing is about the fact of diffusion. We have learned about it in our investigative study book, that what diffusion is. Diffusion is the transfer or is the spreading of particles from a higher dense region to a lower dense region. Okay, so let's say, what is a higher dense region, or what is a region which has higher density of particle? Density means that how much mass is present per volume, right? So in the place which is more dense with molecules or particles, that means that that place has a huge number of particles in a small amount of volume. Okay, that is what we mean by high density. So when particles from high density travel to another place or another region that has a comparatively lower density, then that is what we call diffusion. And this can happen in case of any sort of substance, be it solid, liquid, or gaseous. Okay, that's how the particles basically, or the uh, let's say air particles, spread from one place to another. And this is how air pollutants also spread, because let's say when the pollutants are released from factories, what happens? They are released in a very dense form, right? So what happens when they come in contact with the outer air, which is not that dense as much as these polluted airs? That time these polluted air particles, they diffuse in the normal air. And this thing continues as long as both the places or both the regions have equal density. All right, so until they reach an equilibrium, this diffusion process keeps continuing. So this is how basically air pollutants spread from one place to another, or from a denser region to another. All right, so let's see that what is this activity. Take a cup of hot water and observe closely as you dip a tea bag into it. Notice how gradually the color of the tea leaves spreads throughout the water. Record your observations below. That means, you know, that when we have tea, right, we at first take hot water, then we immerse a tea bag in it. So then that tea bag contains tea leaves, right? So the extract of those tea leaves gets absorbed by the hot water, and then the water turns red. And when it becomes dark red, that time we understand that okay, the tea is ready to be taken. So this is the entire process. Right now, in this process, you will see diffusion happening, because look, when the tea bag was inserted in the hot water, that time in the tea bag, the extract of tea or the tea leaves, okay, that was present in a very dense form. So when this was immersed in water, that time water is not was not as dense as this tea bag, right? So the particles in the tea bag got a lower dense region to spread out, right? So what happened? They got to this place and then they started spreading out from this thin membrane of the tea bag. Okay, This can also be called osmosis, as we learned in the, well, probably we know about what osmosis is, or if you don't know, then osmosis is just as same as diffusion. Just the difference is that in osmosis, there will be a membrane between the two regions, the regions having higher density and the regions having lower density. So here you can see the tea bag is acting as the membrane, right? So just like while the tea extract is coming out of the tea bag, we can say that osmosis is happening there. But just after osmosis, diffusion starts. Why? Because when the tea extract comes from the tea bag to the water, that time osmosis is happening. And then let's say that the tea extract has arrived this region, okay, but that's not enough. It has to cover the entire water body, right? So to cover the entire water body, then diffusion happens. মানে প্রথমে অসমোসিস হয় যখন টি এক্সট্রাক্টটা বা চায়ের নির্যাসটা টি ব্যাগ থেকে বের হয়, কিন্তু তারপরেই যখন ও বের হয়ে একটা স্টেবল কন্ডিশনে আসে, তখনই সাথে সাথে আবার ডিফিউশন হওয়া শুরু করে। তো এভাবেই কিন্তু টি ব্যাগ থেকে আমরা মানে চায়ের নির্যাসটা ওয়াটারে যায়, তারপরে আমরা চাটা খেতে পারি ফাইনালি। ঠিক আছে? তো সেভাবেই এখানে একটা কি বলবো এনালাইসিস করতে বলা হয়েছে যে টি ব্যাগটা এরকম ওয়াটারের মধ্যে সোক করার পরে ফার্স্টলি মানে একদম ইমিডিয়েটলি ওয়াটারের কালারটা কেমন হয়, তারপরে ১ মিনিট পরে কেমন হয়, ২ মিনিট পরে কেমন হয়, দেন আল্টিমেটলি ৫ মিনিট পরে ওয়াটারের কালারটা কেমন হয়ে যায়। ঠিক আছে? তো সেই ডেটাগুলো আমাদের এখানে লিখতে হবে। দেন দেখো তারপরে আমাদের আরো একটা এক্সপেরিমেন্ট দেয়া হয়েছে। এখানে বলছে কি যে we have to inflate a balloon. Okay, then we have to simply burst it with a pin or with a pencil. Okay, but we have to burst it in two ways. Let's say we will inflate two balloons. Okay, take one balloon and you will burst it in the normal way by pricking it with the pin, and for the other balloon you will at first stuck a specific place of that balloon with a scotch tape, and then you will prick it with a pin. And now you have to see that in which case did the air the air is present in a very high pressure inside that balloon, right? So in which of these two cases did the air come out rapidly, okay, in a very fast pace? You have to see that when you pricked the balloon directly with the pin, or when you pricked it after putting a scotch tape on that region of that balloon. So you have to write that explanation over here. And look, the next question is that let's see if there is any correlation between spreading fragrance or odor in the air and these two incidents. Let's see if there is any. All right. So in the very beginning of this session, they had told you about keeping a bottle of perfume somewhere in the class, and then seeing that how the air from that perfume, or how the odor from that perfume, which we can also say fragrance, was getting spread into the entire room. So that was an experiment that they told you to do at first, and then they told you to compare that experiment with the previous two incidents that are given here. That means this balloon incident and this tea incident. They have told you to find the correlation between them. Now, what is the correlation between them? It is that in all these cases, the air was passing from a higher from a region with higher density to a region of lower density, or from a region of higher pressure to a region of lower pressure. Okay, so you have to write that in this in this place. All right, I think that we have understood all these activities, and now it's time to go for the answers. All right, so now you can see the answers to the first activity. Okay, so see, in case of these three contexts, that means human health, plants and animals, and natural environment, the impact of air pollution has been written. So, its effects on human health is inhaling polluted air can cause irritation in the respiratory tract, coughing, and shortness of breath. It can cause heart and lung problems. Inhaling polluted air particles can increase the risk of Alzheimer's disease. Probably it is a type of respiratory disease. Then it can cause premature aging of the skin, irritation, and inflammation of the skin. Okay, then its effects on other plants and animals disrupts the growth, development, and reproduction of plants. Protein synthesis, cell division, photosynthesis, and respiration processes are disrupted. Physiological abnormalities are created and cell death occurs. The vitality of plants and animals is reduced. Look, and then the effect on natural environment is that climate change happen, ozone layer is depleted. All right, then many man-made artificial environment damages, toxic gaseous and particulate pollutants in the air disrupt the balance of the natural environment. That means when the amount of air pollutants in the air is more, that time it disrupts the balance between the amount of different gases which are present in the atmosphere, and this also creates major damage in the ozone layer. Okay, we know about that, and because of this damage in the ozone layer, due to the damage of ozone layer, the ultraviolet rays from the sun is like could reach the earth very easily, which nowadays we are seeing to be very prevalent. And also climate change is happening because of this, because higher amount of those pollutants or those gases which are harmful for us if in a higher amount, for example carbon dioxide, that is important for our environment, but when it is in higher amount, it does what, it basically retains the sunlight or the heat that we get from the sun. And as it is able to retain a lot of heat or sunlight, that's why that specific heat, it cannot radiate away from earth, right? So it's trapped within the earth, for which global warming is happening, and for global warming climate change is happening. All right, so let's see the next activity, which was about that glass of water and the tea bag. The tea thing, that after immediately dipping the tea bag in the water, the color of water becomes light red. Then after 1 minute, it becomes red. After 2 minutes, it becomes dark red. And after 5 minutes, it becomes blackish red. And then that balloon one, that when we leak a balloon normally, and then when we leak a balloon after putting a scotch tape on that area. So what happens that when we leak a balloon normally, at that time, look, the air particles inside that balloon is in a very high pressure, and the air outside the balloon is in a lower pressure, right? So as soon as we prick the balloon, that time the air that is in the high pressure inside the balloon, it tends to escape that balloon in the shortest possible time, that means very quickly. বাতাসটা বেলুনের মধ্যে থেকে অনেক তাড়াতাড়ি বের হয়ে যেতে চায়, অ্যান্ড যেহেতু হোলটা টাইনি, তো ওই হোলটার উপরে কিন্তু অনেক বেশি প্রেসার পড়ে, সেটার কারণে ওটা বার্স্ট হয়ে যায়, ঠিক আছে, ওটা ফেটে যায় অনেক ইমিডিয়েটলি, অনেক তাড়াতাড়ি, অনেক শর্ট অ্যামাউন্ট অফ টাইমে এটা হয়ে যায়। কিন্তু যখন আমরা বেলুনের উপর একটা স্কচ টেপ লাগাই নিই, when we basically uh, attach a scotch tape over that area where we are going to prick at that time, while we prick at that, we will see that the air that is escaping the balloon, but in a gradual process, মানে আস্তে আস্তে এয়ারটা বের হচ্ছে বেলুন থেকে। কেন? কারণ যেহেতু এয়ারটা খুবই হাই স্পিডে বের হয়, ঠিক আছে, তখন কিন্তু একটা টেন্ডেন্সি থাকে বেলুনের ওই হোলটা খুব ইমিডিয়েটলি বার্স্ট হয়ে যাওয়ার। কিন্তু যখন আমরা স্কচ টেপ লাগাই, তখন হয় কি, ওই এরিয়াটা একটু কি বলবো, ওই এরিয়াটা একটা একটু রিল্যাক্স থাকে, বা ওই এরিয়াটায় একটা সাপোর্ট থাকে, যেটার কারণে ও বার্স্ট হয়ে যায় না, ইট ডাজন্ট বার্স্ট ওপেন। Okay, you can see this here, that scotch tape applied to a puncture hole in a balloon can prevent rapid deflation, মানে এই যে এত শর্ট অ্যামাউন্ট অফ টাইমে যে ডিফ্লেট হয়ে যায়, এটাকে ও স্টপ করতে পারে স্কচ টেপটা। বাই ক্রিয়েটিং আ ব্যারিয়ার ওভার দি হোল, দি টেপ রিডিউসেস দি রেট অ্যাট হুইচ এয়ার escapes, allowing for a gradual release of pressure rather than a sudden burst, মানে স্কচ টেপটার কারণে যেহেতু ও ওই হোলের এরিয়াটাকে রিল্যাক্সড রাখছে, ঠিক আছে, দ্যাটস ওয়াই ওই এয়ারের যে রেট অফ ডিফিউশনটা বা রেট অফ এফিউশনটা সেটা কমে যায়, ঠিক আছে? প্রসেসটা আরো আস্তে আস্তে হয়, সেটাই এখানে লেখা হয়েছে। দেন নেক্সট কোয়েশ্চেন অ্যান্সারটা দেখি যে কোরিলেশন কি স্প্রেডিং অফ ফ্রেগরেন্স অর অর্ডার উইথ দি টু মেনশনড ইনসিডেন্টস। সো এটা এখানে দেখো যে প্রথম যে এই যে স্প্রেডিং ফ্রেগরেন্স অর অর্ডার, এখন দেখো যে পারফিউমের বটলটাকে যদি একদমই খোলা রেখে দেয় তাহলে যে ফ্রেগরেন্সের স্প্রেডটা হবে সেটা ডেফিনেটলি ডিফিউশন। কিন্তু এমন যদি হয় যে পারফিউমের ওই পারফিউমের যে টাইনি হোলটা থাকে যেটাকে আমরা প্রেস করেই বের করি বা পারফিউমটা বের হয়, সেই ক্ষেত্রে কিন্তু প্রথমে এফিউশন হবে তারপরে ডিফিউশন হবে, কারণ আমরা জানি যে এফিউশনের ক্ষেত্রে স্মল হোলটা বা টাইনি হোলটা, পিন হোলও বলা যায় সেটাকে, সেটা নেসেসারি হয়, ঠিক আছে? তো পারফিউমের স্মল হোল থেকে যখন বের হবে তখন সেটা অ্যাট দ্যাট টাইম ইটস এফিউশন, বাট বের হয়ে যখন ও আরো বেশি ছড়ায় যাবে ওর চারপাশের লোয়ার কনসেন্ট্রেটেড রিজিয়নে, তখন এটাকে আমরা ডিফিউশন বলতে পারবো, ঠিক আছে? তো মানে তারপরে আমরা যে দুইটা ইনসিডেন্ট দেখলাম, বেলুনেরটা অ্যান্ড টি ব্যাগেরটা আমরা বলবো ওটা ডিফিউশন, অ্যান্ড যে বেলুনেরটা ওটা এফিউশন, যেহেতু it was dependent upon pressure, not density, and the passing of air particles happened through a very tiny hole. All right, I think you have picked up everything. So that's it. That's all for this session. All right. I hope you found this video informative, and if that is so, then please like, share, and subscribe. And if you need any sort of improvements in these videos, then let me know in the comment section. আজকের জন্য এখানেই শেষ করছি। Goodbye. We will meet in the next video.